Meantime, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem set to testify before House lawmakers today on worldwide threats to our homeland. It all comes as the Trump administration is expecting to begin asking foreign tourists for their 5-year social media history before they can enter the U.S.
We just want people to come over here and safe. We want safety, we want security, we want to make sure we're not letting the wrong people come into our country. We're getting rid of a lot of bad ones from jails, from mental institutions, drug dealers.
Joining me now is former acting DHS Secretary and Executive Vice President of the America First Policy Institute, Chad Wolf. Chad, we know our country is always a target, but how bad is the threat right now? What do you expect Kristi Noem to testify to today?
Well, look, I think there's a number of threats facing the homeland, and Secretary Noem's going to address much of them today. I think she's going to continuously talk about the number of threats that the U.S. is facing because of the disastrous 4 years under President Biden and the amount of individuals that came across that border, many of which were gotaways, many of which, we still don't know who they are. She's likely going to talk about Operation Welcome Allies and the threats from not vetting individuals closely enough. And unfortunately, we saw what happened to those 2 National Guardsmen in the District of Columbia recently. I think she'll also talk about nation-state threats. She'll talk about China. She'll talk about Iran and North Korea, particularly from a cybersecurity perspective. And then, of course, the Western Hemisphere. There's a lot going on here, and obviously with Venezuela, the cartels that have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations by the president. All of this is impacting the homeland in a real way. And then we can't forget about Antifa. We can't forget about the domestic terrorism here in the United States that she's likely going to highlight as well. And then undoubtedly, she will touch on the increased threat to law enforcement officers, particularly ICE law enforcement officers that we've seen recently as well.
It's all concerning. It all needs to be addressed. I want to address right now this social media proposal, which I find fascinating. How crucial is that social media data for those that work to protect the homeland? What are they going to be able to do with that to prevent a potential threat/attack?
Yeah, well, it's important to remember, the folks that come into the country on various types of visas, whether it's a student visa, a visitor visa, or a business visa, these visas are not guaranteed rights to these individuals. This is something that the United States bestows on you, and so we need to make sure that we understand who they are. And so, looking at that social media, if they're here and they don't believe in the United States, and we believe they're going to take action against the United States based off of some of what they are saying and doing on social media, well, then that's all part of the deliberative process of how you vet individuals. And so this idea that, particularly from countries of concern, particularly from countries that we don't have great diplomatic relations with, trying to understand the vetting process behind that is very, very difficult. So the social media aspect is just another layer there to allow officers at DHS to make some informed decisions.
And Chad, I would also add, even from countries that we do have amazing diplomatic relations with, like the UK.
Sure.
I mean, the UK is involved in this because their vetting process and their immigration situation is definitely questionable. You get in there, you shouldn't just be able to come over here willy-nilly. So I think this is a great move by DHS. Also, DHS is reporting more than 2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the U.S. over the past year, including, get this, 1.9 million who self-deported since President Trump took office. Seems like the message is getting through, Chad.
Well, I think so. And the administration's been very clear about this with Tom Homan and Secretary Noem and others out there, making sure that the message is getting out there, which is if you come into the country illegally, you will be removed. That is a very different mantra than obviously under the 4 years of President Biden and even under previous administrations. The idea was if you got here, however you got here, then odds are that you were going to stay in the United States for a good period of time. And of course, that was the goal. Well, now the odds are that you will actually be removed. You'll be detained, you'll be put in detention, and you'll be removed. And I think that message is getting out, whether it's ICE law enforcement officers removing individuals, physically removing folks, or folks saying, look, I don't want to go through that, so I'm going to self-deport, which is what they should be doing. A lot of these folks are here illegally, they've overstayed visas, and they should be self-deporting.
not a lot of self-deporting during the previous 4 years of the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Chad Wolf, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.